This big question looming over the fact whether he's going to resign or not. The Global and Mail reported that the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to announce his resignation as leader of Liberal Party this week. Trudeau has been under pressure from elected lawmakers in his party to quit for months. It was further increased when his Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland stepped down, saying that Prime Minister were at odds on policies, and more than 20 Liberal members of Parliament have publicly called for Trudeau's departure. Now, the big question that arises is, would Trudeau's resignation trigger race for party leadership? We have with us Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, is a former diplomat, joining us on the telecast. Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Now we're seeing that amid this whole question over the fact that Justin Trudeau will resign or not, now there's this report by Global Mail that Canada PM Justin Trudeau is likely to announce resignation. What do you think will be the next thing after he steps down, if he steps down?
Thank you, Ria. I think it's probably a turning point and a tipping point in Canada currently that we are going to witness very soon. If he announces his resignation in the next couple of days, which is likely before Wednesday, there would be a little bit of an uncertainty in terms of the next leader. It could be the Finance Minister LeBlanc, or it could be somebody else, and then there would be the decision about who's going to continue as Prime Minister till the elections are announced in Canada, which are due by late October or early November. But Trudeau, in the analysis of a large number of geopolitical and geostrategic analysts in India and elsewhere, has been a very big disaster for Canada, both domestically and internationally. Domestically, in the sense that he has disrupted a large number of the institutional mechanisms in Canada. He's disrupted the media, for example, tried to buy out the media with advertisements and with other inducements. He's disrupted the civil society, fractured it in a very significant way, and polarized it also very massively by supporting the Khalisani group there, who are the Canadian terrorists, who have got a free hand, who are labeling diplomats as targets, who are making statements about killing of diplomats, killing of Indian ministers, assassination of ministers, prime minister, and no action has been taken against them. He has also disrupted civil society in many other ways in Canada, as we hear from a lot of Canadians. The immigration, which was rampant, has disrupted the Canadian society, has disrupted the structure of the health service, the medical service, the housing situation in Canada has been disrupted badly. The job situation Canada has been totally upturned. So there is a lot of resentment among the Canadians in terms of the policies which Justin Trudeau has followed. And the polls are a very clear indicator of the current trends. His party has been losing very heavily. He has also, surprisingly, even the Khalisani groups are now turning against him. They're coming back to haunt him and bite him. So I don't think he has any future left as such. And I don't think he is capable of making a comeback in terms of the disruption that he's created. Even in terms of the Canada-US relations, he's impacted them very negatively. Donald Trump keeps on, ridiculing him, calling him a raving leftist lunatic, and Canada to become the 51st state of US, and calling him Governor Trudeau. So the credibility, the reputation internationally has suffered, and he has disrupted the Canada-India in terms of sinking them to new lows, where Canadian diplomats had to be expelled in large numbers from India, which has never happened before since India became a free country. So I don't know. We'll have to see how things shape up after he leaves, whether the successor can sort of have any capacity to rectify the damage or will to rectify the damage, or will he continue to follow? He or she will continue to follow Trudeau's policies till the elections happen. So, in the sense that some of the things which he's done have created long-term damage. Some of the things he's done has created short-term damage. So an assessment will have to take place, and analysis will have to be done in very great depth. Very granular analysis will be required once he steps aside, because then it will start becoming clearer as to how much damage he's caused to society and Canada's relations globally. Back to you, Ria.
Ambassador Pradeep Kapoor, what do you think could be the potential reasons for that? Is the poll pressure, since Canada is set to go for polls this year, and there's also the fact that you have also mentioned about Trump, that he continues to launch this scathing attack on Trudeau, and also the claiming that he'll include Canada as one of his states, and also the fact that is there a party politics that we are seeing, that the resignation report, this follows significant internal pressure from within his party. And also talking about Donald Trump, he has also stated that Trump's intention to impose 25% tariff on all Canadian products, and also the governor of 51st state, that he referred to Justin Trudeau as that, this continuous bullying and mockery that we are seeing. So is it the culmination of all of these things?
Well, Ria, let us look at it from two different lenses and framework, which is firstly the aspect of the internal politics. He has been giving unstinted support to the Khalisani group, including the NDP. The NDP was having some leeway in Parliament in terms of the number of seats attached because of the way the Canadian politics is structured, and in terms of the primaries and the local elections which take place, and gave them a greater clout at the national level. So he bowed to that sort of pressure instead of standing up to it, standing up to the pressure. And the Canadian Parliament, to have a moment of silence for a Canadian terrorist who has been seen on social media, with a AK-47 gun, and talking about violence and talking about terrorism. And in that terrorist memory, the Canadian Parliament observes a minute's silence under the leadership of Trudeau. And the opposition leader also goes along with that. It was a matter of great shame for the world. The aspect of the bombing of the Air India plane, which took off from Toronto, and the people who planted the bombs being allowed to go scot-free on Canadian streets, and no proper case being filed or persecuted against them. The families of those 229 people who died in the plane, continuously suffering, and no justice being done to have a closure in that case either. And then the Khalisani group terrorists going about with public displays of the assassination of the Prime Minister of India by a Sikh terrorist, and labeling it as a heroic act or a act of martyrdom. So those sort of extreme cases of glorification of terrorism happened under his rule in Canada, and that sort of thing was not called out in a big way by the politicians either. So that was very sort of stark example to the world that a developed country can behave like epicenter of terrorism, like Pakistan does generally. And nobody expects that a country like Canada, which had a very good sort of quality of life, would descend to this depths of existence, where terrorism is glorified, where these terrorists are given a free hand, where they can roam around openly in the streets. And the US has also not taken kindly to the open border being misused by immigrants who come in from Canada in large numbers. Many of them are, probably, some of them at least are jihadis, and some of them are from China. And for Canada to openly allow the, Chinese police services to operate freely out of Vancouver, and, take away people who are dissidents, from Canada, from US, back to China through British Columbia area. So many
All right,
incidents have
Ambassador
happened.
Pradeep Kapoor. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for